Welcome to Home Biz Tax Talk. My name is Lysandra Everett. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady, where I help home business owners win the tax game. Home Biz Tax Talk airs Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock-ish. And when you tune into my show, you're going to hear about topics that are important to the home business community. All right. So previously, we had a discussion about people trying to declare like sovereignty from the government, right? This is a group of people, a segment of the population that believe that, they're not subject to the laws of our government. Okay, period. That's, they basically pick and choose which which laws they're going to follow. All right. So also in that segment of the population is a group of people that are known as tax protesters or tax defiers or whatever. These are folks that don't believe that they should have to pay income tax, and they use certain I really know them when they come on my posts, whether it is on Facebook or on YouTube or any of my social media outlets. They start with show me the law that says taxation is legal. Okay. And so then they go through with all of these different types of arguments saying that, the money that you make is not considered to be income. They talk about the 16th Amendment was not properly ratified, just a whole bunch of stuff. And so there's still this segment of the population that really does do that. And then the other one that came along with this, and I want to say that it was probably early 2018, about the whole straw man thing, that there is the paper you and then there's the person you, and the law applies to the paper you. So whether if you get a parking ticket, have to get a license for your pet or anything, that applies to the paper you, not the person you. And it's just, a bunch of mess. And there are people that were actually trying to pay stuff with these these paper accounts that we have. It was crazy, y'all. But people did it, and they got returned too. But, and so I wanted to share this story today because it goes right along with what we're talking about. And so here is this man out of Colorado. His name was Lawrence Burke out of Colorado. He was just sentenced to 20 years in prison, okay, for tax evasion. So he started a company and that sold and built log homes. And this is from the Department of Justice website, you guys, so you can go and read this if you want. But anyway, he didn't pay federal income taxes. So we're talking about he had not filed taxes from 2006 through 2018. Now, I am sure that, since 2006, if he was getting away with not filing taxes, he probably thought everything was cool, okay? But what did I tell you? There is no statute of limitations on filing your taxes, all right? Now, if you have someone who is a habitual non-filer, they just, like I said, they just don't file taxes. And it gets to this, the first thing that you have to do is file the most recent 6 years worth of taxes, and then that other stuff, they might not even get there, but at least you get started with the first 6 years. But anywho, all right. So he didn't pay his taxes. So after the IRS began collection efforts, including going to his house, that means that how you see on the movies when the FBI and stuff show up at the house and the IRS and all that. Okay, that's what happened. They showed up at his house. He hired a tax firm to prepare 8 years worth of delinquent tax returns, but he didn't even give them all the information. He also excluded over $400,000 of retirement distributions that he funneled through a sham company. That is tax evasion, okay? So after filing his tax returns, he omitted the retirement income. Then he didn't even pay the taxes they said that he owed. He was just we just being a rebel, all right? And so then, and when you do that, the process, it's a lengthy process. So when you file your taxes and you owe, the first thing you get is a letter. The IRS sends you a letter that says, hey, you owe us this money. So you'll get the one letter. Then if you don't respond to that, you'll get another letter. If you don't respond to that, there's a whole bunch of letters that you go through before the IRS gets to seizing your property and levying your bank accounts. So when people come up and say, oh, the IRS just suddenly started taking money out of my bank account, it's just a whole bunch of letters that you got that you didn't open or didn't respond to. And when you don't respond to the IRS, you force them to enforce the law. So this is why I tell you, when you get letters from the IRS, open them, read them, respond to them, okay? And if you need to get help, then go get help. Okay, but anywho, so he didn't pay what he owed. So instead, this is where it gets good. He sent the IRS threatening correspondence that espoused the frivolous tax arguments of known tax defier organizations, including We the People Foundation and the Tax Honesty Movement. This is what I'm talking about, where it's not income, paying income taxes, paying federal taxes is voluntary. So, but you can really look this stuff up, you guys. You can Google it to see what these arguments are. There are a lot of YouTube videos that are telling you that, that you can do this. But if you go and read the fine print on all of these websites, they tell you that, hey, you're doing this at your own peril. So if you do it and if you're successful, fantastic. If you're not, don't blame us. All right. Okay. So then, after the IRS notified him that they were going to seize money from his bank account for taxes owed, he then he went a little bit further. So after money was deposited in his bank account, he immediately withdrew the money and got bank checks for his money so that the IRS would not be able to take the money out of the bank. So he purchased cashier's checks to reduce his balance and impede the IRS's ability to seize the money. His outstanding tax liabilities, including taxes, interest, and penalties, were over $2 million from 1998 to 2005. And then he had not filed any returns from 2006 to 2018. And so now he's been sentenced to prison for 20 years. So is he going to prison for not paying his taxes? Not exactly. And this is what I want people to understand. There's a difference between filing your taxes and having a tax liability you can't pay and hiding money from the government. Okay? Two completely different things. So when you're talking about outstanding tax liability, the IRS is not trying to put you in jail. Okay? They're just not, because frankly, they're not going to get their money if you're going to jail, right? But if you are following the law, which is filing your tax returns, reporting all of your income, then you can work something out with the IRS. What this dude did was just not reporting income, not filing tax returns, any of that stuff. And so that's why he wound up going to jail. Now, also, the thing that you also have to realize is even though you go to jail, this over $2 million, whatever that final number is going to be waiting for him when he gets out of prison. And so the penalties, the interest is still going to be accruing for these 20 years on $2 million plus dollars. So this is what I want to share these types of stories with you. We have these horror story segments, but yeah, it's just that, there's a lot of stuff out there that, tells you how you can basically dodge the government. And here's the deal. There are plenty of legal ways to avoid paying taxes. Tax avoidance, tax deference, those are legal things. Where tax evasion, not reporting income, not filing your tax returns when you are supposed to file a tax return, those are things that are illegal and you wind up going to jail. Okay, the last big name case that that really just hit the airwaves that I know of was Wesley Snipes. But this happens to regular people too, non-celebrity people. It happens. It just doesn't hit the national news like it does when it happens to a celebrity. So don't think just because you don't hear about people getting caught that people aren't getting caught. And if you are willing, if you really believe that you don't owe these taxes or whatever, again, you do that at your own peril. The thing about taxes is this: it's very black and white. There's very, very little gray. And when I say very little gray, like there are some instances where, you can go, right? But when it comes down to tax returns, you either filed the tax return or you didn't. You either claimed the income or you didn't. You either paid the taxes or you didn't. It's very simple. And so that's why tax cases, that's why the IRS, their win rate is like 90% or something. They don't lose very often when it comes down to tax cases. So yeah, this is what I wanted to share with you today, because you know what? There's just so much stuff that's out there that's trying to tell you that, all of these things are possible. But when you are the one who is faced with going to prison, then, where is all this stuff? How is that working out? So I'm here to tell you that the IRS, the Department of Justice, when it comes down to tax defiers and stuff like that, they ain't having it. I'm just letting you know. And tax attorneys, if you have never heard me say this before, I will tell you now. I had a tax attorney tell me, they're like, oh, we just love these guys because it helps put our kids through college. So yeah, so that segment of the population is still out there. And I have yet to see someone actually win one of these cases. I've heard of cases where there are people who did not go to jail, but they still had to pay the past tax due. I've heard of that, but actually getting away with this stuff scot-free, haven't heard of it. All right. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's episode of Home Biz Tax Talk. Again, we air Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock-ish, and you can come right here to get your questions answered about your home business taxes. All right. Have a great day, and I will see you all next time. Bye.